Hello everybody, my name is RPG and welcome back to Let's Play Shining Force 3. Today's episode is going to be a little bit of a special one. We're doing the Fluff for the start of Chapter 4, the Aspia Town and Aspia Castle. There's quite a lot to wander around and take in. There's a lot of NPCs and there's quite a lot of items, particularly dotted around in the town itself. But before we do any of that today, I'm going to ignore that guy for now. We're actually going to go in here and promote our characters. So I did a little bit of grinding off screen. I was planning to get everybody up to maybe say level... Well, I think everyone was on about level 11. I was planning to get everybody to level 12 or so, and Symbios one level higher to 13. But the XP was actually pretty good, so I went slightly overboard. Symbios is level 15 currently. Most of the characters are 14, with the exception of Khan, who is level 13, because he didn't do very much damage and I lost interest in leveling him. So the actual promotion stat bonuses are pretty high across the board. Most characters are going to gain around 5 HP. Symbios is particularly good because he's the main character, essentially. But everyone will get stat increases roughly along these lines. So, Symbios has now got a new portrait. He hasn't got his new model yet, but pretty much as soon as I get out of the shop priest scene here, it'll shoot up. Adantra's stats are not quite as big gains as Symbios, but they're not bad at all. Masquerade I'm particularly interested in because her MP is going to go through the roof. I got some really good level ups out of her while I was getting her from between 12 and 15. One level she gained I think 3 MP and one she gained 2. So that was pretty sweet. Grace's MP is not quite as high, but I think it's mostly because I used so much of that brain food on Masquerade. But apart from this, the rest of the characters are going to be relatively standard from here. So Hayward's going to be kind of tanky-ish after this. His defensive growth, once he's promoted, is usually pretty good. We'll be seeing a bit of that in the episode after this one when we start actually fighting things properly. Upright attack is now very high, and it'll be absolutely monstrous once I put the heat axe on him. I think the heat axe was what we got from one of the ruins, the last chapter ruin. I don't think that's the one from the next one, the ruin in this chapter. So Irene's growth is really nice. She gains a load of defense, a load of attack, lots of health, and a little bit of mana. She's like, honestly, I still think she's the better monk out of her and Khan, which is why I only bothered to get Khan up to 13 rather than 14. I didn't see it being worthwhile to push him for the extra level. Cybele didn't get particularly great level ups between 12 and 14. I think one of the levels she gained like 1 health. One of the other levels she didn't gain very much either. Elder's attack is as high as Obright's, which is nice to see. She is still equipped with the Battle Bracer though. That's boosting her attack up a little bit. I think we just got Khan to go. Yep. So, see, I'm just not really fond of you, Khan. You've got decent defense, but your MP is really low. I guess he's kind of like a tankier Irene, but I'm solving that problem with Irene by putting a defensive accessory on her, so the point's sort of moot really, I suppose. With that out of the way, that's everybody done. I'm going to do a courtesy save. I'm not really entirely sure why I'm bothering, but I feel like I probably should. It's been a while since I did a manual save, outside of chapter started, so we will continue now. And I don't need anything else, thank you. So, Symbios now pops into his promoted armour. He's very orange, pretty sweet. What's notable about promoting is that a lot of the equipment from here on out, we can't equip on unpromoted characters. So the heat axe, Obright can't equip until he's promoted, and the white ring that Elder picked up for us in that last battle can't be equipped on anybody either. Also, I don't need to revive Elder, even though she died in the last battle, because your characters, I think, automatically revive between chapters. So, I'm not going to bother. At the very least, I don't think she's dead. So now what we need to do, really, is pillage this town. What I would like to do before I do anything else, though, is I want to go find the headquarters here. Which I think is... yes, this building. Because I want to jiggle people's item inventories around and free up some inventory space on certain characters. I will show off all of the new sprites for the characters in a moment. So Danteres now takes over King Benetram's job. I'm going to get rid of a bunch of stuff here. Oh, actually, while we're here, before we do anything else, we might as well use this egg we've been carrying around. So, if we talk to this chicken, and then use the egg, It's important to note that... oh, it said the hen is sitting on the egg there. Sorry, I skipped through it. This chicken, I think, is here, regardless of whether or not you pick the one up from the train. However, if you don't pick the one up from the train, this doesn't happen. And Symbios is kind of obscuring things a little bit for me at the moment, but... Chicken has sat on the egg and it's hatched into whatever this is. We won't be getting him just yet. I think we can first get him in the next town over, which will be one battle away. He's basically the joke character for this scenario, which is amusing because unlike the joke character in Shining Force 1, who was literally a placeholder model sprite thing, this guy's actually not awful. He's not terrible. The only problem really is that his attack growth is really high. Very, very high. But he can't actually equip any weapons. Right, we don't need this plateau map, and we'll get rid of that herb. We don't need this large mithril. Hayward, you certainly don't need 4 fairy powders. Albright can get rid of a herb and another herb. Irene's fine. Sidewall, you don't need 2 large mithril. Elder can deposit a drop. Right, I'm trying to decide really who I want to put some of this stuff on. While we're here, actually, we'll do a little bit of iron jiggling. That white ring, if I can find it. White ring. Let's put that on Symbios and have his defense go up by 10. Basically ensuring that he'll take 1 damage from most enemies now for a good while. And we also want to give the battle bracer to someone that can equip it. Hayward could have it. Or I could give it to Khan. Oh, actually, Khan's already got 34 attack now. So Hayward can have it. We have a quick poke around in inventory. Where's take? Oh no, I'm in the wrong menu now, aren't I? Right, I want to go and have a look at some of the items we've got tucked away here. We've got the Iron Blade, the Power Spear, useless. That's actually useful, I'll take that with me. Khan can have that. Do we have anything else? See, I thought I had a heat axe, but maybe I made that up. Maybe that's an item I get in the next ruins and I've just forgotten. We don't need those maps though. We've got plenty of mithril. The Brave Apple I'm going to keep for now. The Fairy Powders are fine. I kind of want to put those on somebody, but all of my female characters are a little bit squishier than I would like, so I'm not going to for now. There is an item actually you can get from haggling in shops. That's the male version of that, and I really want to see if I can get it. I'm pretty sure you can pick it up from the next town over. But before I do that, I'm just going to double check and make sure that I'm not missing out by not getting it. No. Quick check of the shop list, and it is in the next town over. So, a little bit of unrest in the camp. So it's essentially a case of out of the frying pan into the fire. Just to recap really quickly, we've just sort of got back to Republican territory after battling the Empire and the Bullsome sect and loads of other nonsense all the way over. And we've got back, and now there's internal turmoil in the Republic, which is brilliant. And better yet, the turmoil comes from the second biggest, or second most important, I think, province in the Republic. It's the province that belongs to Brutus, which was the advisor at the start, the guy with the weird shaped head. And he stuck around to try and sort the situation out with Governor Garvin. How that's faring for him, we're not really sure. Especially as now we know that Governor Garvin's not all he appears, given that he, steam technology is evil. He's built a town out of evil steam technology, and he sold his old town to a demon that we've now murdered. So things aren't all on the up and up for old Governor Garvin. But hopefully Brutus is alright. He might show up at the end of this scenario. I genuinely don't remember. It's been quite a while. So, now I've had a bit of a chat with the characters. We're going to go back to pillaging this town for all that it's worth. I think I'm going to start with the big inn over there, actually. We'll check these boxes first. Do we have anything in these? I don't remember. Doesn't look like it. The quick way to check these, by the way, is if you press, I think it's C, to bring up the menu. I think A and C both bring up the menu. If you use C, though, it automatically investigates if there's anything in front of you that you can investigate. So it's a good way of checking whether or not there's actually anything in there, because if it just brings the menu up, then you know to just cancel and move on. So I believe this is the inn. We've got the really aggressive military sounding music, which is lovely. I disagree. I think it's perfectly reasonable for Symbios to be at a bar in the middle of the day, especially after what we've gone through so far. It is, well, you say it's early, but you know, it's 5 PM somewhere. A lot of the residents in Aspia are just talk about kind of the turmoil that's been going on and what's the state of the Republic at the moment, and things aren't brilliant. I certainly did command the army, and okay, so I guess he was left behind in storage. Or Railhead, was it? That was Railhead, wasn't it? Storage is where we're going to next. Storage is the other end of the railway, which is where I've gotten a little bit confused. We've got, actually, it was up the stairs I came up here. We've got a couple of little things to look for in here. A couple of people to talk to. A bookcase we might be able to read. Oh, so the whole army that's blockading for supplies isn't brilliant. That's an interesting little tidbit of information there. If you were to just go straight to the next battle and not bother talking to people or reading any of the stuff here, you might assume that Brutus is now a bad guy. But it seems like, because he's still in Saraband, his army have got a bit desperate, shall we say, looking for food. A little bit of foreshadowing there about a giant that's been dug up. That's going to be very relevant towards the end of the scenario. But it's quite nice that it gets foreshadowed here. I'd genuinely forgotten about all this sort of stuff the last time I played through this. Be quite a little bit about this. I think a little bit about Aspinia's origins as well. Or Aspia's origin, sorry. I think Aspinia is the name of the Republic in general. I feel like you'll be waiting quite a while, Grandad, I'm afraid. King Benetram is a busy man. Is that a window or a door? It's a window. There's a really, really useful item that I want down in the ruins. In the ruins, back in the basement of the inn. Nothing in there. Are we going to be able to pillage anything from this room in the inn? No, because we can't even get to the bookcase. So, commentary there on the wonderful walls of Aspia. Oh, giant island spitting out black smoke. I am pretty sure you're talking about the floating city of Saraband there. Because it tootles around with its evil steam engine. So, tucked away down here somewhere, and I can't remember which barrel it is in, but I think it might be this one that's on its own. Lovely little power line. So we'll be using that on Symbios. I'm not going to check the rest of the barrels or boxes. I'm 99% positive there's nothing in them, and I'm not really prepared to click on every box just in case to find out. This episode is going to be quite long as it is without me wasting 2 minutes looking at barrels. So if we get back out the pub now. I think the majority of the items that are dotted around this town are mostly mithril. And there is plenty of mithril in order to get like a full set of mithril equipment for all of your characters. But there are certain characters where I want... oh my. There are certain characters where I actually want 2 of their mithril gear, so... I want to actually make sure I've got enough. 40 gold coins as well, so... The gold you get in the towns generally is negligible. It does start to increase a little bit after we get to the next chapter, but generally speaking, if you need money, you're better off just going into a battle, dunking a bunch of enemies, and then just using aggress to get out and doing it again. The gold you get from enemies is much, much higher than it is than you gain from picking stuff up in towns. Or selling equipment, actually. So, talking about the storage railway there, and they've had this run by Saramand, even though it goes through Imperial and Republic territory. So, weapon shop. I don't remember if you've got anything that I can loot, but it would be nice if you did. So we'll have a quick check, because we're going to buy stuff from him anyway, so we might as well see if there's anything we can just outright steal instead. Nothing, and nothing. I somewhat thought we might not be able to steal anything from the weapon shop guy, but, oh, actually we did check this box. Nope, nothing, never mind. We've got quite a few upgrades that we want to buy though. So, if we have a look at deals, we've got Tank, which casts a support spell. Support is the... don't equip it right. Actually, yeah, do equip it right away. Support, I think, is the defense and agility buff. I'm going to be keeping her old Ankh, though, with the tornado spell on it. So, we've got the steel knife we don't need, the broadsword, which Simios has got, the iron lance, which we've got heavy halberd for Cybele. Pretty nice attack boost for her there. And we will sell her old halberd. No need for that anymore. We've also got... don't need those. Those are for Obright, he's got them. The iron glove for Irene. Nice little attack boost. Because up until this point she was still using the weapon she started with back in Chapter 2. And it was really starting to show its age. We've also got the Robin arrow for Hayward, who is above here, and I'm scrolling the wrong way. Really significant attack buff for him. Sell the steel arrow. And I think Elder might already have the silver wing. Yep, she does. So, I'm going to pick up this great shell. Actually, what I'll do, I'll hold off on buying that until I go to storage, because there's a character that I want that for that joins after storage, and I might as well just wait and see if there is a better one available before I go ahead and just waste 3,000 gold. So this is the item shop. There's not really anything new here, but we're going to have a quick check, just in case anything we can steal. Maybe, oh actually, we definitely can steal something. Large mithril, don't mind if I do. So, I don't believe she sells anything new. Let's have a quick check. Nothing. Let's see if we can trigger her haggle. Does she have anything deals? No. I'm actually not sure if there's any kind of science behind triggering these haggles. I think you just need to just get lucky. Offer to try and buy things and then just quit out. Aha, here we go. The life ring. Yeah, we'll have that actually. I'm pretty sure this is a defensive item, and it's the one with health regen on it. So, we might give this to, if we have a look. Actually, 22. Obright's got loads. Irene's got one. Cybele's got better. It'd be pretty good for Elder, but like honestly, I kind of like her attack being high, and I'll probably find her a better offensive accessory at some point. And Justin, I don't care about, so we'll buy this and give it to Danterez. It's only a buff of like one attack, but one defense, but the healing will be pretty nice. And we'll sell the Protect Brace if we don't need that now. That was pretty nice, actually. Where do we have left to go? So, we've done the top half of the town. Did I talk to you? Oh, okay. So, the walls have never been breached. That's pretty nice. What's this lady have to say? So, she says don't push her. So, we'll respect her wishes. Okay, so basically we live in the communist land, but not everybody likes communism. So, I suppose that's contributing somewhat to the troubles in the Republic. Oh, talk to her again really quickly. Didn't realise she was going to keep talking. So, the Empire want to start trouble. We'll get more on that a little bit in the end of this chapter, and quite a bit of it in Scenario 2. But until then, we're not going to worry about it too much. think there might be an item tucked away in here. So Lord Conrad, which is Symbios' dad, and King Benetram are kind of the noble figures of the Republic, and everyone else is just sort of there from the gist of it. And nothing probably learned from the bookcase. Oh, so there's a giant queen worm dotted around somewhere. I imagine that won't show up at all as a boss battle in the future. Not at all. No foreshadowing there whatsoever. So we've got a little bit of town left to check. There's a couple of mithrils, I think, and that's really what I'm looking for at this point. In terms of... actually, there's one more really important thing that I haven't got to yet. Oh, there's a small mithril. Small mithrils are notable because they make special accessories, like extra life rings and stuff like that. They also contribute to making some of the really good offensive accessories as well, that you can't get anywhere else. Small mithril is in a lot shorter supply than large mithril, and I've probably missed quite a lot of it already. But we'll make do with what we've got. The Empire has come pretty close, given that they were on the suspension bridge just outside. But we won't tell her that, Warrior. I think there might be some money in here. An entire 5 gold. So a little bit about dear old dad. He was in the Empire, sorry, really high up, and he forsook all of that to go start the Empire. Not the Empire, the Republic, with Benetram. Very noble. We're definitely following in his footsteps by just murdering everything in sight. I think there's something in this building. The building with the scholars rings a bell. I guess right. There is a healing drop. So I want to check this bookcase, and the only way to do that will be to manually inspect, because if I try and do the automatic one, it'll talk to the guy. A little bit of stuff there about the blacksmith. Basically, when you tell them to make gear for a character, they make a random bit of gear out of the choice they can make. You might get their best one, you might not. All of the mithril gear is good, but a bit of it objectively are just better than others. Some of them come with better stats, or hidden extra effects and special attacks. So it is worthwhile, much like you would do with the stat-up items, to just save before you do it, and then continually spam it until you get the items that you want. So, like, honestly, you might as well just use save states for it. It just saves time, rather than having to just do it all manually. So the barracks, I think there might be something here. Oh, I'm going to have to do this manually. That's good advice, I suppose, in general. But I'm not really about that hiding behind other soldiers' life. We're going to be pretty aggressive, and especially now we've promoted our characters, we're going to be extremely aggressive, and we're going to be able to take risks. This is around where you are expected to promote your characters. To be honest, I'm starting to suspect, based on how hard Garzel is compared to Spirial, and how tough Spirial is actually, that it's around there you're expected to promote, and this is the really you should promote your characters now point. But because I got in all those extra levels, I've basically got my characters up as high as if I was promoting them at the very end of this chapter. We're basically going to wipe the floor with most of this chapter. It's going to be a very, very welcome change after the slow, methodical pace that we've taken through the last couple of battles, where we need to be very, very careful. Towards the end of the scenario again, it's going to kick off again. Like, some of the latter battles do really get quite difficult, but we're going to be able to take it easy for a little while, which is going to be really, really nice. And the last thing that's really important for us to pick up in Aspia Town is this guy. We certainly are recruiting Soldiers Horsed, and of course we will let you join us. So I feel this is probably a pretty good time to talk about some of the characters that have joined us recently now, because I don't remember the last time I did kind of a character review thing. The last time I did one, I remember talking about Cybele and Elder. And since then we've had Khan join us. So Khan is like, I mean, he's okay. He's a melee fighter. He's a bit, I think he might actually be a bit tankier than Irene, and possibly a little bit more damaging in the attack department. But the fact his MP growth is just so low, it really, really cuts into his utility. So, like, if I'm picking a hybrid melee character, I'm going to choose Irene over Khan every time. I much rather value the utility. Khan is one of the reason I got him to 13 and not 14 is because I'm planning to sub him out anyway at the end of this chapter, so I don't really feel like he'd benefit from me grinding just to get an extra stat point and a stat or two. But he's not a bad character. I'm not saying don't use him. If you really want 3 healers, or like 1 healer and 2 off healers, or you would rather have him over Irene, or you didn't get Irene, by all means use him. But I personally find Irene to be the superior character out of the 2. Since then, lent on my microphone mute switch there, and basically remembered to mute my entire sentence. Since then, we've also gained Noon. Noon is like Masquerade Light. I would much rather have, another Masquerade than Noon, but he's not a bad character by any stretch of means. He learns the free spell, which is more damaging than Blaze, but does have a higher MP cost. His version of Spark, which I believe he learns, is less damaging than Masquerade's. So his single target damage potential is higher, but his AoE is weaker. But he still holds his own, and his MP growth is pretty good. I'm going to be keeping him. Since then, we've also got Justin. Justin, I don't really like. And he's just... The problem I have with Justin is his niche, really, is that he should be a highly mobile archer unit, because he's a centaur archer. The problem is that he has centaur movement, which is hindered massively by pretty much any terrain that's not completely clear. But his agility, his movement, sorry, is still only 5. So he just can't move very far. He's like a Hayward with worse mobility. And as such, I will be subbing him out for a better character pretty much straight away after this. These chests here, I'm 99% certain are all locked, so I'll try one. No, I can't open it, so I'm going to just leave the rest. There's only one item of note hidden around inside the castle. The only problem is I don't actually remember where it is. So I'm going to have to go through and check everything, pretty much. A little bit of weird stuff about Braff, the chap we spoke to earlier. Commended us and hopes to meet us again. He's General Fafford's son. We'll be seeing a little bit more of him later on. Pretty much all the characters... No, she doesn't seem strange to me at all. Pretty much all the characters where it introduces them with a name are going to be sort of important in one way or the other. Even if they're minor characters that we don't really see again. Like Garrosh, right at the very back at the very, very beginning. And Bernard, who we untied in the in Balsamore, I think the town is called. So a little bit of concern here as well. Our army sucks, or basically our entire republic sucks. Everyone's in a terrible state, and the Empire would literally smash us if they were to come in and attack us. So we're just sort of hoping they don't really. The item I'm after might be in the storeroom. Apparently not, so we'll move on. Did we check this room? I suppose actually the easiest way to check is all the rooms that have got closed doors. I know I didn't open. Ah, here we go, another small mithril. And now I'm pretty sure I've got all the items in the castle, so we'll just talk to people and find the general lay of the land. So a little bit of discussion about General Edmund. Obviously he was quite a beloved member of the Republic. It's a bit of a shame that he's gone. But at least his army is still here and still loyal. So even though, I suppose really in essence, although he kind of, I wouldn't say betrayed the Republic as such, I think he might actually be dead. I think he really is a goner. Well, I mean Julian's probably dead as well, so. And he did it, he died in exactly the same way by falling into a river. So, right, what's through here? The Senate Assembly, and there is no Senate going on. Okay. And down here is Ancient Catacombs, and only scholars go down there. Well, I would like to turn into a boring scholar like Duke Palsys, but you won't let me, so we're not going to do that. So we've got kind of the research archives here. There's quite a little bits of tidbits to pick up here. I'll talk to both of the guys first to get them out of the way. So they've been down in the catacombs underneath Aspia, and they've found a giant. Some of the people in the town spoke about that earlier. We'll be learning a little bit more about that now. So, this fortress where Aspia is built has been here a long time. Suspicious. So, we've uncovered a statue, and now we know ancient technology can make giant warriors. Bit worrying. That's a little bit on pen. Oh, there's a scholar here, I didn't even see him. So there's a Republican scholar called Palsis. He's been name dropped quite a bit, so he's going to be important later, we can assume. A giant titan that protected the kingdom in ancient bygone times. I wonder if we'll be finding out if this has any relation to an evil 1,000-year-old kingdom, perhaps. Oh dear, it does indeed have something to do with a 1,000-year-old Aspian kingdom. I wonder if this could have been ruled over by ancient immortal demon vampire creatures that built evil things out of steam technology. And there's some sort of magic lighthouse in the town of Lookover. Lookover is where Duke Palsis is situated as well, the scholar we were just talking about. We will be visiting there at some point, no doubt, now it's been name dropped. So the king is misunderstood somewhat, it seems, which I find interesting, given that he is omniscient, basically, and knows everything. You would think he would know exactly how to dictate most situations. But at least he thinks well of us. So, have a quick check over here. So we've dealt with the Destonian Empire for now, it seems. Generals are loyal. That's nice. Some states and kind of the city-states in the Empire and some of the districts are still clinging to the old imperial class structure. Also, our harvest sucks, so everyone's starving to death. Brilliant. We're still digging for treasures in the catacombs that is, you know, definitely not full of evil technology. So, back out here with Benetram, have a quick checker here. Right, so Brutus's territory is full of idiots, basically, that more or less essentially are acting like an empire light, even though they're now part of the Republic. Presumably that's one of the states that's still clinging to the class structure. A little bit of a report here from a ninja called Murasame. I think I'm saying that right. Oh, we've got a bit of an emulator freeze. Now, as far as I'm aware, I can fix this by just dropping in a save state and then reloading the save state. So let's find out if this works. Ah, there we go, fixed. Good to know for future reference, for anyone else playing along. And in South Aspia, the harvest was really bad, and everyone's getting really unhappy. Tybalt weighs in on the situation a little bit, talking about why we're hesitating. Fafford's opinion of the situation is that they're all starving, and he won't fight them for trying to feed themselves. Which, I can see his sentiment, but generally speaking, I think we need to act for the good of the Republic, really. We're actually done looting the place now. We've got all the items I can think of that are useful. Literally the only thing left for me to do is to go and join in with the next battle. What I think I'm going to do first is I'm going to have a very, very quick hop back to our HQ, and I'm going to just deposit some of that mithril we picked up, because it's pointless me having it, and I want to make sure that certain characters' inventories are more or less free. It's important that Danterez has got full item inventory space, basically, because I'm going to need him in the next ruins. And his inventory's probably, his inventory's bogged down now with stuff that I don't... Oh, I want that spear back. Did master info. Right, so the only thing we need to do is take the regular terrible spear for Danterez. Don't equip it. And I'm also going to pick up the iron blade and give this to Justin. And the old power spear and give that to Justin. And I'll sell those in the next town. Everything else, the one healing rain, the one light of hope. Everything else I'm pretty happy with, and we are going to keep for now. I probably am not going to use the healing rain and the hope lights until the very, very end of the game. They're kind of Mega Elixir from Final Fantasy tier usefulness in that you absolutely save them for emergencies, and then you never think that the situation is actually emergency enough to bother with them, so they never get used generally. So, I'm actually going to leave this episode here. I'm not going to walk into the battle because I want to use that power wine on Symbios. What I will do then is I'll use that and then start the next battle as I walk in. So, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.